Colon Therapy Center, Janet Eileen Mitchell, right out at Callaway and Brimhall. They're here in Bakersfield, people raving about the health benefits they're experiencing from this gentle therapy. The website at bakersfieldcolonics.com. Our great friends at Cruise Through Car Wash, 7 locations here in Bakersfield, just 5 minutes in and you're out with a beautiful car wash.
We'd like to thank our friends over at Kern Construction and Electric Incorporated. Robert Miller, the longtime resident here, he specializes in the remodeling of homes and businesses. He can be contacted at 661-322-5554. Thank you, Robert, and thank all of our sponsors.
Nice.
Yes, thank you. And so welcome back to Open Up. I'm Tina Miller. This is Don Clark.
And if you just joined us, we're talking with Jerome Valenta. Jerome was at the pinnacle of success, both in the construction business and then in the record business, the music business. Jerome, tell us, just very briefly, but what was your lifestyle like when you were at the very top?
Well, I lived in a very big, comfortable home that I built south of Santa Maria on 3.5 acres. I was the president of the Kiwanis Club. I was involved with almost every community service organization as a director or vice president or officer. I was campaign chairman for Ed Davis when he ran for governor. I was campaign chairman for Santa Barbara County when he ran for governor in 1978. Socially, I was very up in the world. My ex-wife was president of the Republican Women's Club, and we just were very into, politics and the community services and whatever.
Mm-hmm. And what caused all that to crumble? Let's go to that now.
I was falsely accused of a crime that I didn't really understand what was going on, and I was ill-advised to just plead no contest, which I did. And then after I pled no contest, I tried to reverse my plea, and I was very unsuccessful and ended up, going to prison for 3 years for a crime I didn't commit, but on the same hand, I've been accused of, and I'm, consequently a product of it. So after being released from prison, I decided, I don't know why God did this to me, but I said to God, I said, look, I'm going to just disavow any financial, money at all. And I took a vow of poverty. I decided I would use all my talents, all my energy, all my education, and to stand up and speak out and try to help people who are going through false convictions or for being falsely accused of crimes or going through the system, which is very confusing and sometimes probably the most unjust of a justice system can be. And so after being released from prison, my whole wealth was just kind of like gone because of the time and the litigations involved. I founded with several other people a organization called Extend a Hand for Justice. And Extend a Hand, it's been like 20 years now, but we have assisted different parties. We basically assist prisoners, ex-prisoners, and the family of people incarcerated while they're going through the trauma of the incarceration and the loss of a loved one and whatever. And over the period of time, we were very successful in having, many false, wrongful convictions overturned. We were, very advocate about, the injustice system and how unjust it was. And for a while there, I published a newspaper called the Bakersfield Reporter, which I attempted to report the other side of the story, the other news that wasn't normally reported on your local medias of the corruption that was within the system and whatever. And unfortunately, because I did, they came after me again and arrested me, prosecuted me, convicted me, and sent me to prison for 7 years for a crime that doesn't even exist. And I, filed my own appeals. I had a court-appointed appellate court attorney, but I filed my own appeals and was successful in winning my conviction, having my wrongful conviction overturned. And so that even gave me more strength to say, our system there's something wrong, and we really need to do something to correct it.
What did you learn about yourself in prison? What were your best lessons in prison learning?
Well, I really did learn that I was strong. I really had that willpower, and where I got it from my family or whatever. Being the 12th child of 13 children, I had 14 mothers and fathers. I mean, all my older brothers and sisters were always, don't do this, don't do that, do this, do that, you know. So I guess I had a lot of, you know, experience of being, you know, not so much attacked, but constantly being scrutinized. And so defending myself over the period of years, I guess I just learned how to stand up and speak out and say, you know, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I had just a very strong willpower. And so I think the, you know, willpower got me through the darkest of times. And believe me, I did have some dark times, because when you're in prison, you know, you're beaten mentally, physically, emotionally. You're actually deteriorated to such a point where 99% of the people just give up. If you're not a criminal when you go to prison, you're a criminal when you get out, because the environment is so tense of being, you know, within that element. And then when you get out and society doesn't treat you with any type of, where you can get a job, and you have probation officer, parole officers always, you know, jamming you, whatever, that you just kind of give up on life, and you get back into your old traits and whatever. Well, being as strong as I was, I did, and I decided that I was going to do something about it. And I did. I feel very proud of myself for what I've done. And, you know, I just hope that other people that are going through trauma like mine, like I did, that will, you know, take it as a learning lesson. I mean, I have 4 college degrees, right? But my college in prison was probably the most educational.
Do you think your your organization, Extend a Hand for Justice, has made any real lasting difference in the injustice system?
We've had behind the scenes. For some reason or other, government will never admit that they made a mistake. All right? Even after my wrongful conviction was overturned, I never had one person ever come up to me and say, "Oh, gee, we're sorry." I mean, how can you convict a person of eavesdropping on his own conversations, which cannot even be, I mean, it doesn't exist. But because of the way they did it, how they twisted and turned the statute on recording confidential conversations and eavesdropping, the jury was so confused. Everybody was confused, you know, and they were just out to get me, to close me down, to try to stop me from what I was doing, that they didn't care what they did illegally or improperly or whatever to get that conviction. And so...
Have you asked them to offer their forgiveness? Or?
Why should you ask somebody to give you, you know, to forgive, you know, them for doing something wrong to you?
Are we talking about Kern County's justice system?
Yes. Kern County justice system was very bad. It's much, much better, you know. And again, you have to understand, Extend a Hand for Justice works behind the scenes. We're very low key. We don't really make a big, you know, how do you say, announcement like, well, we're doing this, we're doing that. We do things so subtle that nobody really knows we're involved in a lot of things, but we have been successful. The old regime of the district attorney is gone. You know, activities within the court justice system they improved substantially after my wrongful conviction was overturned and back in 2000. They do, because once, you know, when you don't constantly keep tabs of them, then they start falling back into that same position. And I wish there was 10 other Extend a Hand for Justice organizations in this community, and actually throughout the whole country, because there is problems within the, you know, justice system all over, that would have a check and balance of our judicial system.
Tina, I forgot. Did we have a telephone number for anyone to reach?
No, but
No.
we can post that on our Facebook page.
Okay, we'll post that. If anyone out there really wants to talk to you and perhaps form a similar organization, Jerry, you can provide. Jerry, how old are you now, and what do you hope to see for the rest of your life in terms of
I just
accomplishment?
turned 71 yesterday.
You look great.
In fact, I had like 5 million Mexicans celebrating my birthday because September 16th is like Mexican 4th of July.
Yes, yes.
And so every year on September 16th, everybody's partying, and I say, wow, they're all wishing me happy birthday. And I don't know if I have a little time to tell you about a little short story.
Sure.
About back in 1988, had my record company. I'm in Mexico City, and 3 of my artists were picked to have the honor of performing at the Zocalo, which is in Mexico City, the big square,
Right.
for the September 16th celebration or whatever. So I'm up there standing on the stage with my promoter, Jorge Vega, and after about 4 or 5 hours of concerts, President Miguel comes out to the balcony, and it's like he's only about 100 feet from me, and he's giving his presidential speech on the celebration of September 16th or whatever, and I don't understand a word what's going on, and I'm just kind of just standing there or whatever, and then Jorge Vega kind of hits me, and I said, what? He says, did you hear that? He says, President Miguel just says, happy birthday to you. And I said, oh, really? And I got really excited there for a couple of seconds, and then he had this big grin on his face, and I realized he was just joking with me, and but for a while, I thought, wow, the President of Mexico says happy birthday to me on September 16th.
Wow.
That
Again, the rest of your life, what do you hope to do
Well,
and accomplish?
right now I'm very involved. My sister, who was a Catholic nun, she passed away in 2008, and she founded an organization in Cape Coral, Florida called Haven of Divine Love, which is a nonprofit organization that provides low-cost housing for low-income seniors and persons with limited disabilities. So I kind of, being the youngest sibling, and I actually assisted her over the years with her operations or whatever. I've been kind of designated to be the watchdog for her legacy, and so I've been back there off and on, taking care of the Haven of Divine Love, which is, like say, a very self-fulfilling operation or mission, because we do provide low-cost housing for some very low-income seniors and persons with limited disabilities. I do have a lot of problems with the city of Cape Coral, because the city of Cape Coral is a very ultra-rich area, and they just don't like poor people living in their area. They have no homeless shelter there. They have no religious organization or churches that they allow to have any missions. They have no HUD homes whatsoever. The Haven of Divine Love is the only facility in the entire city of Cape Coral that provides low-cost housing for low-income seniors and persons with limited disabilities.
Well, Jerry, we need to move on, but what a life you've had and have and are living, and we're so glad you get back to Bakersfield often, and we hope we can have you on again.
You can call me back in 10 years, and I'll probably be just as active.
All right. I believe that. All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us. Up next, we have a cultural exchange program that you just might want to get involved with.